And happy Tuesday to everyone that's out there. Really glad to be here today, and I'm really looking forward to answering any questions that anyone might have today. So it's going to be a good session for you guys to come and connect with me. And if there's anything that you want to have a chat about or ask away, and I'm happy to answer questions for you. It's why I'm here.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lucy. Well, for those of you who don't know, my name's Chris. I'm the mentor with VERTO for women in trade. So I work specifically with women working in male-dominated industries in the trades. And our hope is today that this will be a really informative session for those other ladies working in the trades. Lucy's got a fantastic background and loads of information to share. We'll just give it one more minute and we'll see if we can get any other participants. All right, well, it's almost 5 minutes in. Do you think we should get going?
Yeah.
Get a couple more in. Perhaps people will pop in as we go along. So again, thank you, Lucy. Thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate the time. I know how busy you are, especially with all those awards you've won and being a fabulous ambassador for women in trade. So congratulations on that, first of all.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been quite a journey.
And I know it hasn't been an easy one getting to where you are, but we'll get into that shortly. Before we start, I thought we'd do a little bit of housekeeping and just let everyone know how this evening is going to run. So we anticipate that it won't go over an hour. It does depend on how many questions you ask. But your microphones will be on mute and we'd like you to leave them on mute. And if you'd like to ask a question, which we definitely encourage, there should be a chat box somewhere on your screen that you can actually type a question into. Now, we've got the lovely Simone here. If you want to say hi, Simone from VERTO.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Simone. Simone's going to jump in and ask any questions along the way that might be appropriate at the time. And at the end, we're going to be, so we're recording the webinar. So at the end of this, we will share it on our Facebook page. And I think Lucy's going to share it on her Instagram page as well. I sent the invitation, when I sent out the invitation, you should all have the link to Lucy's Insta page as well. So there should be lots of ways that you can access this if you haven't had the opportunity to join us this evening. So, well, I think we better get started then, Lucy. So again, I know how busy you are. 2 kids, 2 dogs, fiance, household to run, work. You're an ambassador for women in trades. You've got so much going on. So really, really appreciate it. Let's start at the very beginning, and I'd love to hear. I know that you left school unable to read and write. So can you tell us a little bit about what happened there and how you've coped with that and got to where you are?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with dyslexia at a really, really young age. So actually year 4. And I went through a lot of my schooling struggling. And I'm old. I don't look old, but I am old. I'm 28 this
Lucy,
year.
that's not old.
and I'm sure education and the way children are educated has definitely improved since I went to school. It's been a long time since I went to school, but I struggled a lot. Went through my high school career pretty much failing every subject. I did fail every subject, and then year 11 hit where I left, and I actually left not being able to read and write, and that was really traumatic within itself, because
I can imagine.
Yeah, and you leave and you feel like you've got no options, and you've got nowhere to go. So from that kind of led on a little journey for me, and it was actually TAFE which first inspired me. In my early days, when I did a diploma of events management, I went in and I had taught myself how to read and write off an event planning book, and came through and taught financial skills, business skills, and really fell in love with learning. And
that's amazing, Lucy. That's just incredible that you were able to do that, from not being able to read and write to being, to going and doing a diploma.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well done.
Yeah. And then I came through that and worked in a bunch of different jobs that were connected with that events diploma, and then decided that I actually am going to go for that trade certificate. So I went to a trade day and had a look at what I wanted and found what was interesting to me.
Yep.
And I thought, electrical was something that really clicked with me, but ironically, it's one of the most hardest mass-based trades that you can do.
Yeah.
So I knew I was in for a bit of a challenge. So I went in there and got myself an apprenticeship, and I started working. Bosses loved me. I was really good, and I was picking up hand tools, everything really quickly, the job really quickly on the working side of it. And then I actually went to TAFE. And now, one thing that you all get told, and I'm sure if you have an apprenticeship or you're looking at getting an apprenticeship, especially in a trade, you are like a building trade or an electrical trade, any trade, you all get told you need to have at least a year 10 equivalent to be able to pass the course. That is very much true. But if you don't have it, if you were like me and hadn't passed anything from year 7, wouldn't have a clue where to start, there are always options for you to go and get help like I did. So I went to my teacher, and what they do, they sit you down, they give you an aptitude test. And that's not to scare you away. It's not to say that you're not able to do the course. It's basically so they know where they're at so they can support you through. And I was definitely someone that was behind the 8 ball. So I ended up getting private tutoring myself. I had 2 private lessons a week, and then along with my amazing teacher, who I'm very, very close with, got me through. And within the first month, I'd actually caught up on the relevant maths that I needed to get the trade that I needed to get done, and ended up getting 95% on my first exam, and pretty much kept that up throughout my entire TAFE career.
You must have worked really hard to achieve that. So well done. It couldn't have been easy for you. So just that determination I can see that you've got there is fantastic. And I think somewhat you need that to get through and just keep pushing yourself.
Definitely.
And tell me about on the job. Were you the only female on the job?
In my early days, look, I will be honest, you don't come across many women on a job site. It was about 3 years before I saw another woman in construction. That's mainly based because of where the area that I was in. I started off in high-rise construction in Newcastle, and there's not a lot of female tradies in that construction area. There's lots of female tradies in the industrial sort of areas, and I do run into a lot of female tradies in industrial sectors now, which is where I'm working now. But in the early days, not a lot. I don't ever really remember seeing and even one female in construction. Because my story, I started off high-rise construction. I went off and I decided halfway through my trade that I wanted to specialize, that I wanted to know more. So then I went to GB Electrical, where I got experience in lifts and automatic doors, which is heavy industrial, and home automation and general maintenance, electrical maintenance.
Fantastic.
And it's from there that I've been leaded on to Coney Cranes now. So
fantastic. So tell me about, so when you turned up to the workplace, you're the only female on site. Did it impact on you at all? Was there any hesitation? How did you cope with that?
There's always a little bit of hesitation at the start when you start any new job.
Absolutely.
And then walking on site, I was a little bit confident because the company that I was working with, I was really lucky, were really nice. And I had some pretty supportive people around me. And the biggest thing for me was know your place as well. And when I mean it like that is, I was walking onto sites where there was no female bathroom. So that was one thing for me. I know that there's a new law passed now that all construction sites, regardless of the staff, need to have a female bathroom on site on the occasion that they get a contractor or something in that is a female. But when I was first starting, it took me 8 months before I actually got a bathroom on a couple of job sites that I was working across. So it's really important to know that you don't have to go into the male bathrooms if you're uncomfortable. Have a voice, speak up about it, because on the managers on a site, one thing you got to realize is, yes, they're men, but they have mothers, they have daughters, they have sisters, or they have wives, and they can all relate to what you're going through and what you're feeling. So speak up, and don't be afraid that if something isn't right, to actually stand up and go, actually, can I actually get my own bathroom on site? Because I didn't. And it wasn't until 8 months of me walking across the road to go to the bathroom and stuff. It took me 8 months to actually get a voice to go to the big builders. And this was a 13-story building. So you imagine the amount of workers that are on there, to actually, for me to go to the builders and go, hey, can I actually get my own bathroom on site, please? Because I'm sick of walking across the road 10 minutes every time I need to go to the bathroom.
And were they receptive to that?
Yeah. So they pretty much, it was a Friday when I came to them, and they had it rectified by Monday before I even jumped on site.
Wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, they sound like a great company to work for, and they obviously oblivious to the fact that you didn't have a toilet. So without you pointing it out to them, they had no idea that it was an issue.
And a lot of things, they're not you're not their priority. You've got to think, like, they're running an entire build, they're running so many different workers, so many different contractors and schedules and stuff. Your bathroom is the last thing that's on their mind.
Absolutely.
Whilst it's a big thing to you, it's not something that they might not realize straight away. And if you were to come to them and raise the problem and go, actually, no, this is an actual problem, and they don't fix the issue in a decent amount of time, if they're not try and put in steps to rectify that, and then you've got a problem. Then you should escalate it further. But once I put that request in, it was in there by Monday. I had my own personal lock. It was locked all the time. So, and the key was only given to women if they ever ended up coming onto the site, which no one ever did. But
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's great that they resolved it so quickly for you. So let's hope that continues in other work sites.
Yeah.
What about the physical side of the trade? So obviously working in trades as a female, you'll find, I know that a lot of women say there's a lot of physical work, and naturally we're not as strong as men. And so sometimes there's that expectation that you need to fill in the gaps and try and, work extra hard. How did you cope with that? Or what strategies did you employ to cope with that?
Believe it or not, it actually works to our advantage as tradies. It actually works to our advantage because it teaches our brain to multitask and problem solve through an issue in a different way. And what I mean by that is, for example, during your course of your apprenticeship, you will get taught by so many different people. You will even learn stuff. So say, for example, if you're a third year apprentice, you might even learn something new from a first year that you've never even seen or heard from before. Be open to learning from everyone, because, and the reason I say that is because you will take different methods and different ways of doing stuff from everyone that you learn from. Even if you've learned it before, still listen to the way they do it, because you would take their methods of doing stuff and make it your own. And this is why being a woman in a trade is almost a benefit. Well, what I've found is benefit, because I'm not physically as strong as men, and I never will be. And they don't expect you to be as physically strong as a man either. Your workplace will never put you in a position that you should never put you in a position that you are going to physically hurt yourself. If you are going to lift something that is too far out of your physical capabilities to lift, then it's probably too heavy for a man to lift on their own, and they should probably get someone else to help them in anyway. So if you're thinking like that, and if there's something that's really, your hand's not doing it, you can't undo that bolt because it's seized up, what else can I do to get that nut out? What can I do to get it out? Well, I can put anti-seize on it. I can grind through the bolt and then go get another one and fabricate another one to fit in. You're not just applying brute force to something to get it undone and then have an issue with loose thread and stuff later. You're actually problem solving to actually put a put something better in place. So for me, I've actually found that it's only been a benefit for me, because I've been able to develop such a good problem solving brain.
Fantastic.
And be able to apply that across everything in my life. So
we share it with others too.
Yeah.
Why don't you give this a crack?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that makes you really adaptable to many different situations and workplaces as well. So I think that it's a great skill to have. So awesome. As we mentioned in the intro, you've got 2 kids, 4 and 7. You've got 2 dogs, gorgeous dachshunds, and a fiance.
Yes.
How did you squeeze everything in between work, TAFE, your personal life? How did you balance everything?
For me, it's definitely scheduling. Have to be on top of what you're doing. So I never leave what I'm doing to the day. Like, I know before I clock off today, I'm knowing what I'm doing tomorrow. And you've got to know also when to switch off. And this is one thing that's hard when you're going through your training and when you're going through your TAFE, because you're thinking about exams, you're worried about what's going on here, and then you're worried about what's going on at work. And then all of a sudden you find yourself lost in a spiral. And it tends to happen I see it around second year, where everybody just keeps gumming on this merry-go-round and they never actually take a break. So realize that if you're studying really, really hard and you've just got to stop, if you're not going to know it and you're up at 8 o'clock the next day and you've put in the effort, you've put in plenty of study time, if you're up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock the next night and you're still trying to study, you're not going to know it any better than what you already know it. So take a break and spend time with your family, spend time with your kids and that, and just take a step back and realize that if you spend all your time devoted to your TAFE and your work, you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. And that's the way I kind of stayed on track, and the way I do now as well is I've set amount of times of work, because I'm a very busy person. I'm an ambassador and then I work full time. They're almost full-time things on their own, and juggling those can sometimes get a bit of full on. And I realize, and if I'm not on top of my schedule and I don't actually give myself permission to have downtime, then I'll just burn out. And that's my biggest kind of advice to anyone. Give yourself permission to have a break. It's okay to stop. It's okay to do nothing. Leave the dishes. They're still going to be there tomorrow morning. Have a break,
Fantastic advice. That's good. I think that's great advice for everyone. And giving yourself permission to sit in front of the telly and watch Netflix.
Exactly.
If that's what your thing and it's your time out, then do it.
Yeah.
So brilliant. That's fantastic.
And realize, probably one more thing onto that, realizing how important those relationships are in your life too. We don't live to work, we live to live life. And, you've got to sometimes realize, I've realized recently something, happened to me, and realize how important family is to me, and realizing that you have to prioritize that as well. Otherwise you'll lose it.
Great advice. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that's you've got wisdom beyond your years. So thank you for sharing that. Now let's chat about all of these awards you've won. You have won over 4 awards in the last couple of years. So firstly, in 2019, you won the Bert Evans Scholarship Award. A lot of people wouldn't have ever heard of this before. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's comes with a $15,000 scholarship, which was amazing.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it set me up. I ended up being able to get a big toolkit and
brilliant.
It allowed me to do private contracting and stuff, so it was really handy. It's set up to help students like myself that have disabilities or that struggle through their TAFE, and have the backing of their teachers saying that they're putting in a lot of effort, have the backing from their work saying that they're working really hard and they deserve to be recognized for the work that they're putting in. So that's
congratulations. That's
thank you.
Fantastic. That must have been really great to win and to have that money to support you and help you through that time.
That was something that apprentices can apply for in their first year. So it's designed for really hardworking apprentices in their early stage to help set them up for their apprenticeship.
Brilliant.
So if you do want to go and apply for that award, you do have to be within your first year to fall in within the application dates. And that's something that anyone can do and apply for. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, and then in 2022, you won 3 other awards. So regional winner for Apprentice of the Year.
The training awards,
The training awards, New South Wales Training Awards. Then the New South Wales Group Training Awards, Apprentice of the Year.
Yep.
And then the New South Wales Women in Trades Award.
Yeah, for training
Fantastic.
awards. Yeah.
Brilliant. So great. Can you tell us about like who nominated you? How did you find out about the awards? And tell us a bit about your experience with those.
Yeah, well, I went through a training provider, so group training. It was Nova Skill that originally nominated me for these awards. And they collaborated with my workplace and with my amazing teacher, Derek, who put in all these references for me. They got references from my workplace and references from themselves, and they submitted that for me. I am aware, I do think that people can apply themselves for these awards. If you're not with a group training organisation, you can do it yourself. You need your supporting documentation from your workplace and from your teachers to be able to support those applications. And I
believe you have to be nominated by your teacher.
Yeah, you do have to have the supporting nominations from them, but you can submit the applications yourself, but you do have to have those nominations from your workplace and your teachers supporting you. So it was quite a that's for training awards anyway. For group training, you do have to be with a training provider, obviously, because it's their awards.
A group training organisation,
Group training organisation.
Yes.
And it's quite a journey. The amazing people at Nova Skill, they put in my application for me. I worked very closely with them, perfecting my story and little details and everything in there, and they collected all the supporting nominations for me, and then they submitted them, and then it kind of just spin rolled from there. And I just got an email yesterday. I've been nominated for the TAFE Excellence Awards in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander section. So
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, that's to be drawn in March. So
so cool.
Yeah.
Well done. That must have been a pleasant surprise.
It is, and it's really nice to have your hard work recognized.
Yeah.
I've always been such a strong advocate for group training and for training awards and for just trades in general. I've been a really big, strong advocate for it. And I've always been one to put my hand up to come and talk to people and help people out in need. So it's really nice to have my my hard work recognized, and it's absolutely incredible. And what journey that leads on from after the winning awards is massive. Is absolutely massive.
So can you tell us about what happens? So you get nominated, let's say the New South Wales Training Awards, you get nominated for an award. What happens then?
Yeah. So what happens is you get nominated, and then they have a look, and then if you're successful, you get shortlisted. So then you go through to an interview. So you'll start on a regional level where you'll go into an interview and you just talk about yourself. They'll ask you a bunch of questions about your story and about where you've been and what you want in the future and how you got there. And then if it's successful, you get shortlisted. So I believe there was hundreds of applications from when they were telling me. I can't remember exactly how many. But then I was shortlisted. I can't remember exactly. There was about 7 people up on stage with me at the regional competition. And let me tell you, most nervous moment of my life. Walked up on stage, and then they called my name, and I told, my stomach sank. I was like, oh gosh, this was the first one, like on a big stage, and all the lights, you know, the big fancy guy from NBN's there, and it's all being recorded, and
Wow.
I'm coming up, and you know, they ask you about a little bit about yourself, and then from there you go into the state awards, which was where I won the Women in Trades with the training awards. So again, then I had to go to Sydney. So I'm from the Newcastle area. I had to go to Sydney and sit
And
another.
they put you up when you
Yep.
came to Sydney.
Yep.
You got a big dinner, right? You have
Yep.
a big celebration.
Well, you have to go through a second round of interviews,
Yeah.
and then you get shortlisted again. And then they put you up in a beautiful hotel. They give you all your transfers. You put on your beautiful dress, and you're even in a bigger crowd of people, and shortlisted again. And then that's where I won the Women in Trades Award. And that was absolutely amazing. Group training was a little bit different. There wasn't an interview process with that. You submit your application and they review it, then they shortlist you from there, and then they take you up to Sydney again in a gorgeous hotel, and then bring you out for a big, beautiful dinner again in a fancy dress, and with the big fancy presenters, and you're coming up, and I believe there was 10 for group training. And then, then you presented an award, and after that, you're an ambassador for these awards.
So what does that mean, Lucy? Tell us what you're doing as an ambassador.
Yeah, so as an ambassador, so the people that give the awards the year before, so that'll be me this year. Again, I'll be going to all these events, and I'll continue to go to these events for as long as they will have me. I've seen ambassadors from 2019 that are still doing the award ceremonies and still doing the interviews, and still very much a part of group training, and as I will be, because I'm so passionate about it, and the training awards program. I now will go and visit 2 to 3 schools a month, going around and talking to people like yourselves that are wanting a trade and just not sure how to go about it, or not sure how to enter into it, because it is quite competitive sometimes. And just wanting to ask questions and trying to inspire the next younger generation of trades to come through and take that step. And let me tell you, it's definitely a rewarding one. When I have a lot of feedback from people that I've helped previously get into a trade, and you know, they message me a couple of months later and go, I'm loving it and I'm absolutely smashing it. That's where I get my reward from. That's where I get my payment from for the hours and the work that I do, is when I see people happy, because I struggled so much and I left with nothing. And if I can just give someone a little direction or a little pathway to get them where they want to be, then it just fills me with a lot of joy. So,
and we can see that, Lucy, the way you talk about it, it's beautiful. It's so great. Without people like you, we wouldn't be getting the message out to so many people there about apprenticeships and the opportunities available, particularly to women as well. So thank you.
Just to ask Lucy as well, how do you find it when you are approaching the schools? Like, what sort of reception are you getting? Are you getting a lot of the girls coming up? Are they finding, you know, that they've got someone that they can actually ask questions to? I mean, talk us through a little bit of that as well, because that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Inspiring that younger generation.
Yeah. So at first, it's sometimes met with a little bit of hesitation, like a little bit of like, oh, there's a girl here. This is new, because they're expecting, you know, a male to come in and show them stuff. They're not actually expecting a woman to walk through the door. So some of the times I'm a bit of a surprise when I'm the one that's walking through in the high vis and the fluoro. And when I start to talk, the biggest thing that I get, and the biggest feedback or the biggest question is, I'm really bad at school and I can't read or write. And it's normally met with a little bit of, because they can relate to me, and I can turn around and go, it's fine. This is what you need to do. You need to be upfront with your teachers. You need to go in, you need to get your special services, because they do exist, and a lot of them are free. You don't have to be rich to be able to get help. There is so much out there. And they just, a lot of the time, it's me just encourage them to have the drive, you know, and I can see the fire in them. a lot of them, I can see that they've got so much fire in them. They just need someone to kind of go, this is the steps that you need to go through. If you are like me, these are the steps that I went through. This is how you will achieve what you need to achieve. But that's the biggest question is, I'm failing everything at school, or I'm not good at maths. I want to be a carpenter, but I'm not good at maths. And that's okay. We can work on that. As long as you're willing to work for it, we can work on that, and that's the biggest one I get.
Yeah, amazing. It's nice that they have someone that they can actually relate to and ask those questions.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. So you finished your apprenticeship, you've won all these awards. Tell us what are you doing now, and how did you make the decision to do what you're doing now?
Yeah. So it's been quite a journey. So I'm now working for Coney Cranes, which is really, really exciting. It's a new step in my career. It's more into also the fitting side of electrical work. So that's building, maintaining and servicing cranes. Massive cranes, anything from down to like a little jib crane that hangs off the wall to a massive overhead crane that you're seeing.
I can see it in the background there in your picture.
yeah. And it's funny how I kind of ended up here, because I started off in high-rise commercial, which is just your general lights and power. I think lights and power in a house, but on a big scale, on a big building. And it was through me probing a little bit deeper into my trade, when I felt like I'd learned everything in there that I could, I started going, oh, what other areas are available to me? I wanted to test out things and wanted to know where I wanted to be. And that's where I ended up in the lift and automate door department. And I found that electrical fitting, which is kind of what I'm doing now. I'm not a fitter, but I do a lot of fitting work, I was like, this is really interesting. I really like doing this. I like working with my hands. I like sometimes coming home a little bit dirty, with a little bit of grease on the side of my face. And I was just before working at Coney, I had a little stint there where I was manufacturing switchboards for the mines. And it was actually my partner, who I met in TAFE, by the way, everyone. I met my fiance in TAFE, so he's also a Sparky. He worked for Coney, and he kept talking about how great the managers were and the workplace was, and the workplace and everybody that worked there. And I just found myself talking to his boss one day, and I found, as I spoke more about the role, it was very similar to me, to what I'd done previously and what I'd loved. And so I ended up coming in for an interview and landing the job. And I've been here for a while now, and it's really cool. And it's nice being part of an environment that's so supportive. And that's the biggest thing for me, is having a supportive work environment. I have worked in places where I haven't had a supportive work environment, and it doesn't suit me well. And that coming to a stark contrast of having a company that's, you can ring them if you're on a breakdown at 3 a.m. You can ring the big bosses and they'll answer the phone, and they're happy to help you and talk you through any problem that you're having. Or, there's a lot of team morale. You can ring anybody in the team and they're all willing to drop anything to come out and help you. And that's a big driving force for me.
Definitely makes a difference when you've got a supportive workplace and people around you who are willing to help. Help you get through. So I think everyone deserves to have a workplace like that. So that's
I'm very lucky.
I'm glad you found it. So that's brilliant. And I was going to ask you something else, and I just lost my train. So what about your future? So knowing and hearing your story, I can see that you settle in and you do one thing, and then you think, oh, what else can I do? What else? So have you got anything else in mind of where you want to be, or, where you want to go after this experience?
After this, I would definitely love to stay within Coney if they'll have me. I have big goals that eventually I'd love to be in some sort of apprenticeship support area. That's my goal long term, is to be in some sort of apprenticeship support role. Because that way you're still kind of working on the tools, you're not giving up your trade completely, and I'm getting the best of both worlds. I found this other passion of mine, which is obviously apprenticeship support. I'm very passionate about it. and it's something that drives me. So I would love to combine my love of the trade to and that together and end up in some sort of apprenticeship support role within the company. That would be awesome. Yeah,
Brilliant.
that's my long-term goal, is to end up and doing something like that.
Yeah. Every organisation needs someone like you to mentor and support their apprentices. So that's a brilliant aspiration. So and they'd be lucky to have you in that sort of role. So yeah, fantastic. And what advice would you give to other young women looking to start in the trades now, starting an apprenticeship?
Yeah, so it's kind of a big question. It depends if they know where they want to be. So for example, if they know the trade that they want, my biggest suggestion is go to your training organizations first, straight up. They are begging for workers. They are, and if you go in there and
group training organisation,
group training organisation. Sorry, group training. Sorry, go to your group training organisations. They want you. If you go in there with your resume and you show them that you're interested and that you want a position, they will find one for you. I remember when I went to GB Electrical, when I was finished with construction, I did a bit of digging around of where I wanted to be. And I actually found GB Electrical, and then I found out that they hired all of their apprentices through NovaSkill, a group training organisation. So I actually went into NovaSkill and said, "You need to hire me, and this is why." and he was just, he turned around, he was like, "Yep, righto." And I said, "I want to be in this company," and he's like, "Oh, I don't know if I can get you into that company because I don't know if they're hiring." And I was like, "No, I have to be in this company, and this is why. I'll wait until they're ready, but I have to be in this company," because I knew that their training that they give their apprentices, and I'm still in really good relationship with them as well. The training that they give was next to amazing. So he ended up getting me in and smashed the interview, which was awesome. And so go to your group training organizations. Definitely jump on Seek. Just put yourself out there. Don't get disheartened, because I know taking back to when I first got my apprenticeship, I didn't go through a group training organization originally. And I remember how disheartening it is, because you keep applying for these roles on Seek and you don't always get a response back. So it can be hard. It can be really hard to break in to start off with. I didn't even know group training was a thing when I went through my apprenticeship. So I actually did a little pre-apprenticeship course, and then I ended up getting an apprenticeship through a friend of a friend that knew somebody within the company that I work for. That's how I got in. So it can be hard. And if I knew about group training before, when I was actually going through my looking for apprenticeship originally, I think it would have been a lot easier. Biggest step is go in there and show your interest, because they want you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You've got fabulous advice for everyone, I think. All of the things you brought up about work and standards and expectations and brilliant. I think they're a great message for everyone. So does anyone have any other questions? Is there any other questions, Simone? We can't hear you. No,
sorry about that.
You're right.
I did actually have a question from Charlene. She was just actually asking if you are planning on doing any more formal training in the future. I know that you've obviously indicated that there's definitely a space that you're looking at very passionately getting into, but did you have any focus that you would like to formally?
Not right this moment. Formally, I did think about, before I actually jumped into electrical fitting, I did have a think about going through instrumentation, which is more around your control with your PLC work, because there's a lot of growth happening in that area now. And I did have a bit of a look into that, or doing a Cert 4, but at the moment, I'm just taking a little bit of a break as far as formal education goes, and writing this award sort of journey. I'm working full time, and then I'm booking these jobs out, and then I'm doing stuff for things like it's amazing people at VERTO overnight. So I'm taking a bit of a break from training at the moment, and of riding this award journey as I call it at the moment. But I'm definitely, it won't be the last time that I'll be training. I'll probably ended up doing something along the lines of a business course or some sort of managerial sort of course, because I did a diploma of events management, but I'd love to do something that's more along like project management side of stuff, and know how to basically run programs and stuff like that, because I would love I'd love to know how to do that, because part of apprenticeship support would be running programs for apprentices and developing programs and stuff like that to get them through. So especially in an industrial setting, because you need to be able to balance their residential work, so they do need residential experience, and making sure their apprentices are getting a well-rounded education in their training, not just heavy industrial and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love your focus. You really do have a lot that's on the go. But yeah, your self-awareness and everything, you're very remarkable.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you.
And I suppose if anyone else has any questions, just to pop a question into the chat box so I can pass that on and ask the question on your behalf. I suppose, what's the perk that you find about working in construction? Is there something that, most people, a perk that some people don't know about? Anything at all that you'd like to share with us?
Your site allowances are great. The money can be phenomenal. That's definitely a big draw card, and that's why we go to work, right?
Yeah.
And if you work your way up, work your way like I have, you can wind yourself in positions which are set you up for a good life. You are not going to be worrying. And I come from a time, I did my apprenticeship a little bit later, and in the early days, wondering, do I buy groceries, or do I pay rent, or do I register my car? And it's really nice to come to this position now where Reggio's coming up. It's not, I'm freaking out about it 3 or 4 months in advance, because I have to actually pay my Reggio. And that's definitely a perk. And you're getting your things like your shift allowances and stuff like that. So, and you get allowances for working hard too, if you're working in different sort of environments as well. I remember working in construction, if you went up any more than 4 flights of stairs, you're getting a payment every flight of stairs that you're on, so people go, oh, is it really worth the money when you're working that hard? Well, it is, because you've got allowances, and not just that, you've got an amazing camaraderie, something that I have never experienced. I've worked in a few different industries, in travel and whatnot, and events, banking even. I've never experienced quite a camaraderie and a mateship that I have experienced on site. Even if there's something going on in your personal life, it's never a problem. It's never an issue for someone to have your back or cover you. I was just sick last week, and I had people covering me, and then that turned out that they got sick. So it was really good to be able to return that favor and work a little bit harder that day and cover them. And, it's a real mateship and a friendship that you find on a lot of sites. And that's definitely a big perk for me.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
We do have another question. What advice would you give to future women considering doing a non-traditional trade?
Don't let your own insecurities stop you, because we as women are our own biggest enemies. We are our own biggest enemies. There is no dumb question. There is no stupid request. And if you are struggling, say that you're struggling, because most likely, if there was a man that was doing it, they would have struggled the same way. So, and take that step. That was the biggest thing for me. I waited later on in life to take that step, because I didn't believe when I left high school that I was able to, and I didn't think that I was smart enough. And that is my biggest regret of my entire life, because I would be in such a different place right now in my life as an adult, as someone that's almost 30. If I took that straight out of school, I wouldn't have been you know, working and juggling kids and whatnot and stuff like that, and trying to study and that, you know, it's, you know, it's doable. It is doable, but it's hard, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit harder, and that's my biggest regret, that I didn't do it straight out of school. Just do it. Like, what do you got to lose, really? Like, if you take that step and you go in and you find you really hate it, you really don't like it, then you've had an experience that you'll be able to carry under your belt for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? You're never stuck. You're never ever stuck in life. And, you know, the worst thing you're going to do is go into it and realize that you don't like it, and you're going to move on to the next journey in your life. That's the worst thing that's ever going to happen to you if you take the step. But if you take the step, odds on you're taking it because you're actually interested in it, and you might actually find out that you really, really love it, and it will change your life forever, like it's changed mine.
Yeah.
And I love to see you say it's so hard, but you do it with such a smile on your face and such resilience. It's wonderful.
Because there's a lot of
you do it tough, but you're still smiling and you're still enjoying what you're doing. So
and that's the biggest thing is support. You know, I have an amazing support network. I have a beautiful fiance, and I had a really solid support network at TAFE. That was my biggest thing. I had a really good relationship with my teacher. I would bring him up if I was studying at 5 o'clock on a Saturday night, and I'd be mad. I'd be like, I'm yelling at this page because I don't get it. And he'd be like, it's all right, Lucy. And he would just help me through. Your TAFE teachers want to get you through. They want to work with you. So have a good relationship with your TAFE teacher, work with them. And that if you're putting in effort, they will put in effort with you because they're seeing you how hard you work. And I also have a really solid friendship group and really solid family too. So I'm really, really lucky to have that, and lean on them. That's what they're there for. They lean on you. Don't be afraid to lean on them.
Great advice again. Thank you. Well, we've only got another 10 minutes to go. Was there any other questions, Simone? Are we good?
No, I think that everything else that's popped up you've already answered. So amazing.
Fantastic. Well, Lucy, we can't thank you enough for giving up your time, which is so sparse for us, and sharing your experiences and your knowledge and your words of wisdom with us. It's been really brilliant, and you're so inspirational, and hopefully, you know, the people that get to watch this will feel your enthusiasm and excitement and carry that on with them as well. So thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. And as mentioned before, Lucy's going to share this recording on her Instagram page, and we will also share it on our VERTO Women in Trades Facebook page. And if you have any feedback or additional questions or any topics that you'd like covered in the future, feel free to message me and let me know. Our next webinar will actually be on Tuesday, the 28th of February at 6:30 again, and our guest speaker will be Louise as a party. So I know that you know Louise.
She's amazing. She's an absolutely incredible person, and you should look her up on Instagram. She's absolutely incredible, such a bomb of a girl, and she's awesome. She's so much fun to talk to as well. My Instagram's Lucy with an I, Luci Electrics with an S. So you can feel free to connect with me, any of you, or if you want to just have a look at my award journey. There's heaps of media on there. There's been heaps of photo shoots and videos and stuff like that. You can have a look and see what I've been up to and see what I've been doing. And it's been the same with Louise as well. She's got an amazing following, even bigger than mine. So I definitely encourage you checking her out. She's a bomb.
So Louise is actually going to have a chat to us about some key things that you mentioned in our chat today. Tips on overcoming self-doubt and building confidence. And I think that's really important in the workplace, and especially when you're entering and you're in your first year and you're finding your feet. it's definitely tips that we could all use. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. Feel free to join us, Lucy.
I definitely will. Yeah,
Right?
she's a legend.
Yeah,
she's really good.
She's basically a champion of women in trade. She's
Yeah.
amazing. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to her as well. But again, I've really enjoyed chatting with you tonight, and I really appreciate the time. So if everyone is good to go, we'll finish it up there. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And Lucy, can't thank you enough.
Thanks so much, everyone. See you later. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.